Hello, everyone. I am so excited that you're here today. We are here with a fabulous, amazing teen, Ava Villanueva, and we are talking about raising confident, capable kids who are homeschooled. Guess what? This is a homeschool success story for you. Ava is so incredible. I have known her for I don't know. I think I've known you for like half your life, probably. So it's pretty funny. They used to live near us, and we'd get together every once in a while. And I've just watched her just thrive and just flourish. And it's so exciting to be able to share her with you today because this girl's got a passion. She's got a mission. She's on a roll. She has her own Instagram profile that she's really building a brand with. And guess what? She's still homeschooling. And this girl is a perfect example of what a lifelong learner looks like. I know you've seen my son, Kenyon Wanis, in the past, and you can go back and watch those episodes or listen to those episodes. I highly recommend that you do. But we're here with Ava today as a great example of, hey, what does that actually look like? I've talked a lot about what to do to help you develop lifelong learners. But when we're a lifelong learner, I mean, that's kind of weird to think about because normal teens do not do the kind of things that Ava does. She's incredible. And so I want to give you a picture of what that looks like today and how to help your kids develop lifelong learning. And it's going to look different for everyone. Like we've talked about with my son, how we do it and how we've implemented it for us. But I want to give you another example of how amazing kids are and they can already start their life. She's already started her life when they're still homeschooling and when they're teens. It's so incredible. I'm so excited to have you with us today. Thank you, Ava, for joining us. It's super exciting.
Thank you, Cammy. I am so excited to be here.
I want to just talk about your homeschool experience and just tell us a little bit about how you homeschooled. How was it growing up in homeschooling? Because you've homeschooled for a very, very long time. And how did it go day to day? Like, what did it kind of look like for you?
I mean, it was always different. One thing we would do is traveling, which I love about homeschooling because I wasn't only learning around me, I was learning everywhere. So we would travel to Europe and I'm learning about the culture there. Growing up, we had a garden, and that's probably where my passion for cooking started because I'd be gardening with my grandma. And we'd be growing tomatoes and all kinds of vegetables, and we had chickens. So really learning how to grow food and make food. I love it that I get to learn about my passions.
That is so exciting. So did it look a lot like you just, we did school, we did our textbooks and workbooks and we did all of our things in the day. Is that what it always looked like? Cuz what it sounds like to me is you learned everywhere all the time.
We did learn everywhere all the time. There was always field trips to museums, learning in real time and real life experiences. And we definitely had some workbooks sometimes, but we love really hands on learning.
Yeah, definitely. I love that. And your mom's amazing, of course. And so what I love about that is that you know that you can get information, you can learn stuff anywhere, anytime. And that is really amazing. So at what point do you think you really started to enjoy learning? And when did you kind of take ownership of that? Like, oh my gosh, I have to learn some things because this is awesome and I know I'm preparing myself for life.
Yeah, so I was definitely vocal from the beginning. Um, my mom was trying to get me to read when I was about in preschool, and she was struggling because she was trying to get me to read and I was not having it. And I just said, Mom, I don't want to do this. I'm going to write my own book. So I went and wrote my own books, and with containing the 7 words I knew how to write. Um, and so from the beginning, I have kind of been pretty independent about learning. And I love that about homeschool, that I can learn about my passions and I kind of, it just flows.
I love that. And I'm going to add one question here because I know that a lot of parents end up with that. Oh my gosh, my kid doesn't want to read. My kid doesn't want to learn. And then they end up pushing. I did that when I was first starting homeschooling. But your mama did something a little different. So you didn't want to read. And what did she, when you said, I don't want to read, I want to do it this way. And what did she do?
I think she at some point, she was just kind of like, "Okay, well, do your own thing. If you're gonna write a book, go ahead." Like, she was excited to see what I would do, so I wrote a little book, and it wasn't much, but to this day, I love reading. I love reading classics, especially. I am a Jane Austen fan. Um, so that propelled me forward to, I feel like one really important thing is when you are learning about your passion, then you become more driven to learn more. It doesn't feel like you're being forced, it feels like you're being encouraged.
Absolutely, absolutely. So something you didn't want to do actually turned into something that you love to do, and you ended up learning to read. Actually, anyways, right? I love that. I love that. It does work out in the end. I know my son is going through the same thing with he's done that with writing, he's done that with math. It's pretty amazing. You do end up catching it when you're ready. That's amazing. So thinking about not just learning for yourself, but you're also a lifelong learner. Now you said, "Okay, I love this stuff. I love Jane Austen. I love to write. I love to cook. I love to garden. I love all these things." Would you consider yourself a lifelong learner? I know I consider you a lifelong learner. But do you consider yourself a lifelong learner? And how does that look like today for you, being a lifelong learner?
Consider myself a lifelong learner. I love learning, and um, today that looks like growing my business. I'm learning every day how to grow my business from the ground up, being an entrepreneur, and that is one of my biggest passions right now. I'm learning lots along the way, and I'm so grateful for my mom for helping me with all of this. So it's, we're growing our businesses together, which is so amazing because we're also connecting as we go. So day to day, it's learning about my business, learning how to be on a podcast, and I love that part about it. That's my favorite part.
Absolutely. That's so awesome. So you're not only just you're using your business to also learn about all the other things you need to learn about, right? Because there's math involved there. There's all kinds of, connecting and with people and people skills. There's all kinds of strategy, and there's a lot of ideas in business and writing, right? There's writing in business. What other subject areas do you think you use in just doing your business?
I mean, definitely math, and I mean, from a young age, whenever my mom would go to leadership events, I would go with her. So from about 11 years old, I was surrounded by these amazing women who were entrepreneurs and writers and doctors. And that really made me so passionate and inspired me to create my own business. So I don't know if you'd like call that a subject per se, but that is definitely helped me learn and inspired me to create my own business.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, that's something I think is super important and a great topic or great point that you brought up is immersing. One of the things that your mom does really well is set the great example, right? I know your mom and she's amazing. So setting a great example is one of the biggest things you can do for your kids. And I love that she brought you along on that journey she's still bringing you along on our journey together, right? So you're not just learning for yourself now, you're also teaching other people with what your passions are. How did that come about? When did you feel like I need to share this?
It was quite a journey, figuring out what my passion was. I actually used to bake for a cafe, and I would bring in treats. And at first, it was healthy things, just like, I love making, but like delicious healthy. And I would bring it in. They would, sell it in the cafe. I was super excited. This was a new thing. I was 13 years old at the time, and it was really exciting. And then as time went on, they kind of wanted me to make things like a Dr. Pepper cake. I didn't even know what that was. Um, they were kind of going in a more like unhealthy direction, and that really made me come back to my my values. And I realized that I'm so passionate about eating healthy, and why not share that with other people? And that's kind of where that passion grew from. Is I realized I was making food that I wouldn't eat myself. So I that's where that passion grew of teaching other kids, because I think it's so important when kids and even adults know how to make food to nourish their bodies.
I love that. I love that you brought up the values that you have and how you compared that to what you were being asked to do and what you, even though it was still your passion, they were asking you to do something that you were like, hey, wait a second. I don't know if that's my jam. And I've never heard of Dr. Pepper cake before. Maybe I'm a little bit behind, but did you make the Dr. Pepper cake? Oh,
Done drop cakes and stuff.
okay. That's interesting. We'll have to look that. I don't even know what that is. So anyway, not that I'm going to make it, but when you were talking about your values there, I was really thinking about how a lot of our kids today, especially in public schools, they don't end up having those discussions with their families. And we have a framework that we use called phases of learning. And one of the bottom level phases, the first phase that we all go through, is really learning those values and stuff. So, how did you get those values of healthy eating and really making sure that we nourish our bodies?
Yeah, definitely from my mom and grandma from a young age. They would, they're the ones who taught me how to cook and bake, and I actually learned fractions from baking. So, lifelong learner, just learning everywhere. Um from them, because they've taught me from a young age, and that became my favorite way to connect with my family, is just cooking all together, whether it's a holiday or a birthday. That is, like, my favorite thing to do with my family, is just be in the kitchen cooking all together. So, that's where that passion grew from.
I love it. And tell me for everyone to hear how so you started working basically providing for a cafe when you were like 13. That's amazing. So how old are you now?
I'm almost 16.
Seriously, people, this is amazing. Seriously, I love it. I love it. I love it. So we're talking. I love that you mentioned that you connected with your family, and that's we call that family work. We call that really. That's part of our love of learning reset phase. It's really getting together and doing things together, and that's a great opportunity for you to develop those values. And look at this, you're like using them every single day, and in your passion in your business and being confident enough to say, that's not me, at that age is amazing. I mean, even if you were just doing it today at 15 is almost 16 is amazing. But to do it then too is really that says a lot about you and your confidence level that you're saying, this isn't really my jam. That's not really something that speaks to me and is something about who I am. That is so amazing, and that is something that most adults can't even do. It's very, very, very incredible. I love that you're doing that, and you took that and you've kind of branched out now. So, what are you doing now?
Well, I have my Instagram, like you mentioned. I am starting to do cooking classes. Um, I've done cooking classes in the past, but I'm starting to, do more. I'm actually going to be in doing a cooking demo in the National Wellness Fest. I'm super excited about that. So lots of exciting new things.
Absolutely. And so you're mainly doing cooking classes for kids and teens right now, but also the moms too, right?
Yeah, I've wanted to explore doing mommy and me cooking classes, because I feel like that would be so amazing, bringing back that family connection while they're cooking together. Because I know sometimes it can be pretty challenging. My mom was really patient. Um, that's how I learned to
She's very
cook. It's
patient.
because very patient. I don't, some parents have trouble finding that patience, and I totally understand. Being in the kitchen with your kid, especially when you're already overstimulated, can be really overwhelming. So I would love to bring that connection to moms and kids.
I love that so much. You're bringing exactly what inspired you and what made you so passionate and confident into other people's homes. And what is the idea, the bigger plan for this? So, if you were to, let's say, like 5 years, 10 years down the road, what do you like to accomplish for who your audience is, for moms and kids and stuff like that? What is the bigger idea?
That's a great question. I think doing more like in-person cooking classes, which I've really
Mm.
wanted to do, because then I'm in person teaching them and really like you get to experience more. I also love doing virtual ones, but I think doing more in-person ones, maybe even doing a podcast, where I talk about these things. Um yeah.
Yeah, and integrating the idea of not just cooking together, but also the healthy eating and healthy living, right? That's something that you feel real strongly about. So in term you're combining both the like nourish your body in a healthy way, but I also know that you really focus a lot on the easiness of it, right?
Mhm. Yeah, I mean, I feel like sometimes people think that cooking healthy has to be expensive or challenging or hard, and really it can be so simplified, especially my mom was so patient. She taught me how to cook from a young age, and now me and my sister are making meals day to day, and it really we're all helping each other out because one of us has um something in our plans, then we can always step in, and I just love that about, having a family that all knows how to cook. You're there for each other, you're able to make food and create connection while you're doing it.
Yes, this is pretty amazing, you guys. I was talking to her mom last night, and and she says, "Yeah, sometimes the girls just I'm upstairs doing my thing in my office, and sometimes the girls just say, 'Mom, dinner's ready,' and I'm like, how amazing would that be? I mean, I would be super juiced about that. Just mom, dinner's ready. Okay, that's fantastic. I love it. That's you seriously serve your mom well, and you're giving back to your mama, right? I love it. And how you having this passion, this mission that you're on, how does that help you stay motivated for learning like your other homeschool study stuff?
Yeah, I mean, learning in other places kind of helped me to focus, so sometimes I'm doing my book work, and then I'll go take a break and, you know, cook, and, yeah, uh well, that's a really good question. I'm trying to find an answer that matches that. I feel like being able to learn in multiple places when you homeschool is so helpful because in public school, you're going from classroom to classroom and you're sitting down. But in homeschool, if you're feeling antsy that day, you can go outside and learn something. You can be inside and learn something. And I really love that part about it. And it's definitely helpful for me day to day.
Absolutely. And are you seeing a crossover between your the things that you're studying because you know you've already been there, you've already been like, yeah, I've been using the fractions when I'm cooking and baking. I know that it's useful so that I can see the connection. So therefore I want to like I'm okay do studying more and I want to learn it because yeah, that's going to apply to me someday. Is that part of your thinking there?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, it helps so much learning in math when I learn fractions from a real life experience. And I'm very visual person. So seeing myself using the fractions and then going and doing book work was a lot more motivating for me. And I actually find it really fun.
What? Fun. That's crazy talk. I love it. So what does learning look like now that when you're working on a new recipe or a new idea? I know you give a lot of recipes away and you're constantly sharing new recipes and stuff and I feel like didn't you say you had a recipe that you were going to share with us too?
Yeah, I am. It is my favorite recipe that I've made probably. It's almond granola and it's
Delicious.
super delicious. It's like my favorite snack to make. I made the recipe myself. I love from a young age. I've been cooking obviously, but as I got older, I got pretty passionate about making my own recipes and exploring how that works. Um, so yeah, I will be sharing that, and I love it. It's super fun, and I'm really excited to share it with everyone.
Yeah, we're excited too. I know I make granola all the time, and so I'm excited to see your recipe too. The what is when you go through a process of creating that recipe, so you have an idea in your mind and then do you try different stuff? How does that process work for you? And you're like, "Oh, this is garbage. Let's throw that out." Or how do you figure that out? Do you say, "Oh, I think this would be good," or what do you do in your brain?
Well, it actually depends. Sometimes I just create a recipe from scratch, inventing something new, and sometimes I'm looking for a recipe and I just can't find one that I like, so I either tweak a recipe, um, and add some of my own things to it, or I just make my own. So it kind of depends.
I just thinking about a lot of recipes aren't necessarily healthy, right? They say they're healthy, but they're really not. And so what do you take some of those and say, "Oh, I could actually swap this out because I know that's more healthy." Do you do that ever?
Yeah, I definitely do. Growing up being mostly gluten free and dairy free, I learned how to swap out, coconut oil for butter or things like that. So it was really helpful learning from a young age because I was eating these foods day to day. So then I started incorporating that in recipes and switching out ingredients. And I feel like some of the recipes turned out okay, and some turned out, like, oh, maybe we're not gonna eat that.
I love that. And that's such critical thinking right there. That's just using your experiences and saying, "Oh, that didn't really work out." I know when I bake gluten free, which I don't do a lot, but I do sometimes and cuz we are mostly gluten free. And so when I was actually watching a Food Network show one time and they were trying to bake gluten free and they were using rice flour but only rice flour, right? And so she was trying to make this pancake or something and she didn't have and it was falling apart, right? It's falling apart because it didn't have the gluten in it. So, and I was like, "You have to," I'm yelling at the screen, "Add more eggs," right? I was like, so I love that you're getting that information. You're saying, "Oh, okay, I can if I do this because I know now baking gluten free, I have to add like at least one more egg, right? So
Yeah.
or something like that to be able to hold it together."
That's so funny. I don't think I knew that other people did that. Maybe it's just like an unspoken gluten-free rule. Like you just know, add another egg if it's gooey or, I just keep adding eggs in until it looks right.
Yes, I love that. It was so funny that happened on the Food Network too, like this professional chef, and she's like, it's like falling apart. I'm like, "You have to add another egg." It's so funny. Oh my gosh, it's hilarious. The things we learn, but I love that you're applying that, and then you're teaching other people that too, and you're saying, "Okay, I know based on this." It's such great critical thinking, and it's using the exact strategies that you would in any textbook and anything that you're learning. You have to take the information, your experience, and you have to modify it and say, "Okay, I think this would work. I think this might be a good idea." I do a lot of that when I cook. I don't use recipes hardly ever, or I'll look at it and be like, I got the idea." And then I'll just kind of throw stuff in and I don't measure. One of our friends, she's always like, "I have to have a recipe." Like, I'm just, "How much do you put of that?" I'm like, "I don't know. I just put it till it's enough." So I love that. I love that you're doing that and sharing it with other people. So when you are thinking about sharing stuff with people and you're transferring this passion that you have, what would you say to a teen who's not excited about learning or who hasn't really found something that they're excited about? I mean, you are so blessed because you have this huge history of something that you've loved from the very beginning, but we have all kinds of teens and a majority of teens don't really necessarily have a super big passion as of yet. So if kids are, or even they just associate learning with something that's like not really fun, what would you say to a teen who has that going on?
I mean, I feel like everyone or has to have like multiple passions, Like I would say start exploring. I didn't know that my passion was teaching kids and teens how to eat healthy before, and it slowly molded into something I was very, very passionate about. And it wasn't always like that. You know, I thought it was I thought my passion was cooking for people, cooking and baking for people. That's the side quest of the bakery. And then that made me realize that I'd rather teach people how to cook for themselves and make that movement spread wider. And so yeah, I think it's really discovering just try to keep discovering what your passion is, and eventually you'll find it, and it might be a little rocky at first, but it'll mold into something that you couldn't imagine you'd live without.
I 100% agree with that, and I see that a lot in my son too. So you know Kenyon, and that is, and he when he was little, he had a real passion for wild animals and just saving wild animals. He used to say, "I'm going to build conservation places all over the world," right? And all through his little kid years, and then as he got older, he morphed it into something a little differently. Like, he saw the bigger problem. So as you're learning more about how the world works, how people work, how the problems that people have, you start to think about it in a bigger sense, right? So as you're owning your education, going through your studies and things and learning about the world, you're like, "Hey, actually, I think people need to learn for themselves how to cook," right?
Yeah.
And so Kenyans has really adapted to that as well. But I love that yours is morphing some more, and it's not done yet, right? You've got a long time to be able to develop all these things. And I see a real big picture for you for sure. I see just this transformation of eating for people, starting with teens, because that is something that teens definitely need to know right now. And if they do it, then it affects everyone else, right? It affects their parents and everyone else around them. I love that. I love it. I love it. So, last question, really quickly before we finish up here is, and I think this is important for us to kind of just touch on real quick, but what do you think teens need to learn to be ready for real life? Like, not just studies or school. What do they need to learn to be ready for real life?
I mean, I'm probably biased, but I definitely say cooking is one of them. Um, there's so many people that I've met where I'm like, they say they don't know how to cook, and when I was younger, I was like, "What do you eat?" I, you know, it was so normal for me to just be cooking, but also in other areas of life, getting to travel and meet new people and, exploring different places really helped me. Um, my mom bringing me to leadership events, and I learned how to walk up to a group of ladies and, say, like, "Hey, how are you?" And, really build on that confidence. I was not I was a pretty shy kid, and as I ended up, talking to leadership people and exploring my interests, I was able to create a confidence, and build on that. So I think in multiple areas of life, learning how to talk to people is a big one, and learning how to take care of yourself and know when, your gut feeling if something's right or wrong. If I hadn't have, you know, caught that, I might have still been working in the bakery. So that's a big one.
Yeah, I love all of those things. So it's really developing yourself and while you're digging into your passions, developing that confidence in that environment that you were in was really amazing. And so parents can do a lot for their kids by creating that kind of environment, which is exactly what I teach you guys how to do. So that is fantastic. I know that you're in a fantastic environment and your mom is so amazing. And I have watched your confidence grow a lot and you really step out because I remember that shy little girl. And it's so beautiful to see you doing that and really stepping into your own. It's something that I think you have a huge voice, huge mission, a huge message to share with people. And you are very well spoken. I love that you're coming into this and look how young you are still. I mean, for crying out loud, people. Most adults can't even do that still. So I'm very, very excited for your future and what you're bringing to the world. And if you're listening to this and you're a parent, which you probably are, I am so excited. This is exactly what I'm on a mission to do is to help you raise Avas. More Avas in the world we need. Exactly. All with their own purpose, their own interest and passion and mission to do things in the world. That's what we want in this world. What an incredible society and future we would have if we have a lot more Avas. Thank you so much for joining us today, Ava. I super appreciate it. And Ava's going to give us the link to her recipe that you for the almond granola that you can get is going to be in every single place where you're listening to this or watching this. You can grab that recipe. Thank you for sharing that with us. It's so awesome. And I look forward to whatever you're bringing to the world if you're in the Nashville area in May, right?
Yes.
You're going to be doing some teaching at the, what is it called?
I'm going to do a cooking demo, so that will be really exciting.
That is amazing. What is the event called?
It's the Nashville Wellness Fest. So
There you go. Look it up, and go see Ava yourself. I and her mom will be there too. Her mom is very much into wellness in a different area of your life, and so it all works together, trust me, because that is exactly part of why Ava's so amazing as well. So, really take advantage of getting around her. Check out her Instagram. Have your teens go and check out her Instagram. Have your teens go to her cooking classes. And I know she does them virtually too. So, right, so you can have your teen go anytime you can get your teens and your kids around other kids doing amazing things, that is going to help them. That's exactly what Ava was talking about earlier. And it's going to help inspire them to find their passions. It's so amazing when that happens, and you are seeing the results of that right here. Make sure your teen watches this and listens to this episode. And then also, make sure you have conversations with your kids about what their passions are and have those experiences. All the things we talked about in here hopefully will give you some ideas on what to do with your kids. And if you like this, if you resonate with this in any way, with me, with Ava, with this idea that we're talking about, please follow us on Spotify, Apple, wherever you're listening to this, please follow us and subscribe on YouTube. It helps us share this information to more people, and it really makes a difference in how the algorithms work out to getting us out there. So I am so excited today. We had an amazing conversation, and thank you so much for joining us, Ava. I really appreciate you, and I look forward to watching your journey grow even more.
thank you so much, Cami. This was amazing.